So this belt was almost kept here at Sault Ste. Marie with Ojibway people. But at that particular council meeting, it actually was decided that it should be kept with the Odawa people at Michilimackinac. And then when it went to Michilimackinac, after the American Revolution, Michilimackinac was no longer British territory, or the British couldn't set up there. The Americans were told to vacate the Americans told the British to vacate the island. And then when they did that, this belt then, and a council fire, this represents a council fire as well. The council fire of Michilimackinac was moved to St. Joseph's Island. So if any of you do a field trip and you go to St. Joseph's Island, you'll see the ruins of the fort there. And so from 1796 to 1815, the presents that the British promised us were delivered there. And if you stand up where the ruin of that chimney is and just look around, look east, south, west, and then look north, and then just imagine 3,000 Anishnaabe there. Just imagine 3,000 wigwams camped there, all kinds of canoes and people all around, and then imagine all these fires where people would be fed. And then imagine there rows of people seated, and then chiefs getting up, and that's what they would do. They would recite this belt. They would recite the promises that are on this belt. And then they would also end up getting fed, and they would get clothed. So the British would come and they would deliver leggings. They would cut cloth for leggings, for shirts, for skirts. They'd give us ribbons, silk ribbon, and they'd give us hats, chief's hats, silk hats, and they'd give women combs, needles, butcher knives. They'd give us guns, and they'd even give us nets. And I want you to think about that and remember that with this belt, the British promised to give us what they called presents every year. But some people called that a form of rent, that every year they had to come to our area, to our territory, and they had to give us cloth. And they always gave us tobacco as well, and they gave us those tomahawk pipes. They gave us guns. And the reason they did that is because they knew, can you guess why? They knew who owned the land. Said, we're living on your land. Here's our payment to you for living on your land. Here's so that we still have peace. Here's cloth for all your kids. Here's cloth for your old ladies. Here's some cloth for your old men. Here's hunting knives for your young men. Here's guns for your hunters. And here's net for your fishers. And here as well are even canvas, or they call it Russia or Scotch sheeting, to cover your wigwams or to make sails for your boat. So what I want you to remember is they'd even give us fish hooks, mackerel lines, cod lines. And then after that, that's why I say this also represents our Aboriginal right to hunt and fish. Because they're turning around, and from 1764 to 1854, they're giving us guns. They're giving us nets. They're giving us cod lines. They're giving us hooks. They gave us everything to hunt and fish on the land. And actually they expected us to do that. And that's why we say this belt doesn't just represent friendship, and it doesn't just mean we're holding hands and not making nice. This actually represents that the British came, and they had said to us at that time, they said, Nui kanash kawa mabe wabe medabit getchikamimawang. I'm going to chase away anybody who comes to your great lake. That's what the British told us. So they told us that anybody that comes to our territory, they knew that they had to get permission from us. And the British at that time had said, we abide by this. So that's why you'll hear different people talk about the Royal Proclamation, because in that Royal Proclamation of King George, he also mentions that the lands are reserved as their hunting territories to the said Indians. But to our version of this, our version of the treaty is this wampum belt.